All right, what's up, guys? So I want to take you guys along for a little journey. So I haven't got my motor yet. I have my glider, and I've done a lot of kiting. My wife has started kiting, and she's actually registered for training in a few weeks from now, so that's really exciting. But I have this plan, and I've always wanted to do this with a powered paraglider ever since I had the thought of even flying one. Something that I've done with a fixed wing is I want to transition through a Class D airspace. And not only do I want to just transition, but I also want to get them to allow me to transition through a military Class D airspace. So I'm getting ready to call the tower controller guy, and I've already talked to a couple of people, and they have kind of led me to this particular person, and I wanted to share the conversation just to see how it goes and show you guys that kind of, you know, having a plan, my own plan, making sure that you discuss and things like that on whether or not this kind of a conversation with a controller can be successful, whether or not a pilot can fly through controlled airspace with no problem whatsoever, especially getting to do maybe even a low pass through the Class D airspace at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. So I'm gonna go ahead and make that call right now. I'm gonna just throw it on speakerphone, and we'll see what the gentleman has to say.
Air Traffic Control Simulators, Mr. Davis, can I help you?
Hi, Mr. Davis. My name's Kelly Stanley. I was just speaking to one of the sergeants there, and he had given me your information. And so I just want to follow up with a quick call and run something by you and see what you thought. Maybe you've had this happen before, and maybe you haven't.
Okay.
Got a couple of minutes to discuss?
Yes.
Good deal. So I live in Springfield. I've been a resident my whole life. I've had my my sport license for almost 10 years now. Not current, but I did a lot of fixed wing flying around the area, lots of transitions through the Class D there at Wright-Pat, and I've recently taken up ultralights and powered paragliding and have this vision of, you know, kind of doing, not necessarily to draw attention to myself or anything like that, but more of something to educate people in, you know, how far the communication and the ability to communicate with a tower and the things that you can actually do in airspace such as Class D airspace. It's controlled by a military base and things like that. So my idea was not anytime soon, probably sometime when the weather breaks and we have some really nice smooth air up there, to pretty much just communicate ahead of time with you, let you know, give you a phone call ahead, and then also have the two-way communications while I'm in flight and the ability to communicate and be understood by you guys and all of that while I'm basically flying open cockpit. And I just wanted to, you know, see if that's something that would be an entertainable thing, not necessarily for entertainment purposes, but more for educational purposes, and to show how communication works, not only ahead of doing an ultralight flight where you don't have an ADS-B responder and that type of, you know, emergency type of thing, if you want to call it that, but just to show how far communication goes, and, you know, ensuring that you're talking back and forth with the tower, and then more or less just make a pass through the Class D, hopefully a low pass, 20 or 30 feet above the ground, and just make a little educational blip about, you know, communication. That, and I'm only saying that because I don't want you to get this idea that, you know, I just want to fly through and have a good time. I want to make an educational experience and an educational video out of it. So with all that being said, and not knowing a whole lot about me or anything like that, I can certainly give you my airman certificate numbers, so that way you could at least look up and make sure that I'm a legit former pilot. But is that something that is a possibility?
Well, I mean, just loosely speaking, like if you were to come in and want to do a practice approach with us through the Class Delta, there's nothing preventing you from doing that at any point.
Okay.
So you don't need to pre-coordinate that at all.
Oh.
You just need to, as long as you're following the FARs, the only thing is we can only give you a low approach here. And because of the speed of the aircraft, naturally, the chances of us being able to do it are very contingent upon other operations.
Understood.
Because,
yep.
You know, it's going to take quite a bit of, we're going to have a pretty good gap in our traffic pattern in order to let you come through.
Yeah.
If you're just out there flying, transitioning to Delta, yeah, you could do that anytime.
Okay.
There's no problem.
Okay.
It's just standard VFR rules of flight out there, and call us before you get to the boundary. We'll give you traffic. Of course, you definitely want to keep in close mind the type of aircraft we have.
Yeah, lots of weight.
We have the C-17s in excess of 300,000 pounds, flying at fighter airspeed at the same altitude as you are.
Yeah. They fly over my house all the time. I love the pattern that they fly. So.
And if you don't have ADS-B, then the chances of them picking you up is going to be pretty late. Right. So that's always a thing. So as far as the training part on it, I mean, that might be something that, certainly whatever you're doing on your end for your folks, but as far as we're concerned, we have plenty of VFR traffic coming from all around.
Yeah.
So it's not really a thing that I don't see that we would get a whole lot out of that.
Yeah, we would get more out of it.
The thing that's always good is aircraft characteristics.
Yeah.
Because you never know where a controller may go somewhere where they have a ultralight, paragliders that operate in the vicinity of the airport.
Right.
I've been at numerous places where they did.
Okay.
So that's always something that is good for them to get an opportunity to talk to you and kind of see how that works.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's really nothing that you need to do if you're just planning on if you have plans for yourself that you're doing some kind of recording video. Now that I definitely cannot give an approval to.
Sure, understood.
That would be something you'd have to work out with public affairs.
Yeah, understood.
But if it's just something you're doing internal for use for other folks somehow. Absolutely. There's nothing really stopping you from doing that at any point.
Perfect.
The biggest thing for us is as you get closer to wanting to do this later, maybe in the spring or summertime, you'd want to call back. Let me give you one more phone number.
Okay.
Same area code, 257 1713 this time.
Got that one,
We have a new chief controller.
Okay. What was that? Did you say the Avenue controller?
No, chief controller.
Oh, chief controller.
So, yeah.
That's who I just spoke with. Okay.
Managers or facility managers.
Okay.
We have our reference here in the military chief controller.
Okay.
So he'll be on board by then.
Good deal.
And it'll be something you may want to discuss because it would probably be a good day to try to think about doing it on a Saturday or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. And again, I would be very surprised if he doesn't have a similar kind of set of feedback for you.
Sure.
Where there's really nothing stopping you from coming through and doing it. It's just the only thing that would ever really slow you down on that I can tell you is if we've got local flying going on, it's probably going to be hard to get you over the runway.
Yeah, understood. Understood.
Because just the time commitment for it.
Yep, that's understandable.
Okay.
Good deal. I think that covers my question. That's really really good information. I appreciate you taking the time and explaining that, and I look forward to talking to you and doing this whole thing. That's going to be really awesome.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your time.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
What? All right, so the guys that know this stuff are probably like, duh, but it just gives you, that gave me that warm, fuzzy feeling of like, I think I can do that. I think I'm allowed to do that too. Yeah, you actually can. You don't have to have ADS-B from what he says, as long as we're following the rules of the FAA and what's listed in our Part 103, then there's no reason why some Saturday morning I couldn't rearrange on Friday or whatever and make this whole thing happen. So this is obviously just a little boring me talking to somebody on the phone video, but this is a preface for a video that I plan to do somewhere in the future. Hopefully I can get some people to fly with me so we can go in a nice big group, and maybe even if we get a Saturday, we could get an opportunity to radio with them and ask them if we could do some coordinated spirals or, show them a little show while we're flying in their airspace over top of the runway. And how awesome would it be to fly PPG down the runway at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, all while looking at those giant airplanes over at the hangar. Like, how cool, right? So again, preface for a future video. I don't know when it's gonna happen, but it's happening now because that phone call right there just set a fire. So let's go. See you then. Later.